Hello and welcome to the Item Box with me, Sonicguru, and as always, Nikki17. It's been kind of a week.
Mm.
Yeah, such as immediately after we stopped recording, and the next day I uploaded the recording, new news comes out. I was like, God damn it. Every time.
To be fair, this is in our favour because there's been some time to pass by, so we've got some info to actually talk about.
Yeah. So like as always, if we actually record something, it's like, hey, why are you talking about this? Because we didn't know about it at the time of recording. Plus,
Time
it allows us to get the information and get everything out of the way.
Yeah.
So to start off with, the biggest news that came out just like hours after we stopped recording was the announcement of the Switch 2.
Mm.
And he used announcement in quotes because one, it's a pre-rendered trailer, and two, Genki, who makes some Switch accessories, leaked the design of it a week prior.
It's funny you bring this up, the leak, because I saw this actually during the Switch 2 business. Apparently, Hideki Kamiya, the creator of Okami, said this. This is from Culture Cave, so not entirely sure if this is true, but the quote is here: I hope all the people who leaked the Switch 2 information and for those who helped leak it will be cursed for the rest of their lives and have poop on the soles of their shoes. Whenever they, just give me a second, it's a bit more. Whenever they, whenever they, for the rest of their lives, and the show, when they get home, the worst of the scum, they, interesting, should be covered in shit from head to toe and thrown out into the atmosphere, and then stop thinking and wonder forever. They need to be crushed as soon as possible. Quite a claim, that, if that's true.
The thing is, that's a lot more wordy version than me telling people to, your clout is not important as you think it is when you upload entire games to YouTube days before release.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's just a thing we just have to expect now. Whenever a new game's out, someone's going to have a playthrough the entire thing up at some point.
It's like, look at me, everyone! I didn't play the game before everyone else. Congratulations! No one's going to watch it because they're going to be spoiler free.
That's the one we live in anyway.
Yeah. So the Switch 2 announced, and straight away it's bigger. The screen's bigger, the Joy-Cons are bigger. Thank goodness the Joy-Cons are bigger because, Christ, I feel like I can break the originals.
I was going to say, this is interesting because you actually own a Switch, so you probably have a lot to say about like what they're supposed to be improving on for what we've seen.
I understand a lot of people say, well, Nintendo Switch is meant for kids. It's like, yeah, but how many kids are actually going to buy a Nintendo Switch? Okay? It's majority of the time, it's adults who've been Nintendo fans since 1985. The Joy-Cons are probably some of the worst controllers I've had. And that's coming from someone who cannot, for the life of me anymore, hold a Dreamcast controller.
Oh, you can't? Oh, God.
It feels so weird now. I cannot describe it. I used to be like very easily pick up a controller and do it. I can still hold the controller. I can still play the controller, but there's something incredibly off about it.
Yeah.
And it's not the damn wire coming out the bottom, okay? I can deal with that.
But they have a clip for that. That's the thing. Underneath, there's a little clip for you can put in there for the wire.
Okay, you lose about 5 inches of the wire, but who cares? The wire is long enough.
Yes.
But the Joy-Cons are so uncomfortable. Whether it's in the grip, in handheld, or just using the Joy-Cons individually. I'm about to say Wiimotes for a second for some reason. Mind you, you can play them as Wiimotes playing Mario Galaxy on 3D All-Stars.
Yes.
Which feels rather natural, but they're too small. If you don't have the actual Joy-Con grip, not the grip, the kind of a little piece of plastic you slide onto it.
Yeah, those things.
If you don't have that, it feels weird. And using it, this makes them a bit more bulky, which is weird. And when you're actually trying to use them as like individual controllers, use them sideways like the Wiimote, the position of how far they are inwards, either I think it's the left, the control stick for the left one is. No, wait. Can I get in my head right now? The left Joy-Con, the left Joy-Con, the face buttons are too far in, and on the right Joy-Con, the control stick is too far in. You cannot comfortably hold the Joy-Cons whatsoever. Now, holding the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, they are much bigger. I think they'll hold a lot more in the hands. But the position of the face buttons and the control sticks on either Joy-Con when using individually is still a problem.
Go on.
Cool. No, I've got others.
Go. Okay, then. I was going to say that, I mean, speaking to someone, I have to admit, for all this time, I've yet to actually play on the Switch. So I was curious about like how it was like to play with those things, both in dock mode and, I guess, controller mode, really.
Yeah, it's tolerable in handheld, but don't feel right. So for the longest time, like I've had the Nintendo Switch since 2018, I think. And like a year in, I bought a Hori Switch pad, which is basically just take a regular Switch Pro controller, which we have, which I would rather use.
Yeah.
Cut that in half and stick that on the ends of the Switch, and there you go. The Hori Switch pad, split pad, it feels so much better. Yes, it lacks a lot of the internal things like the HD rumble, the gyrometer, and over that, but I don't care. I'd rather hold the damn thing comfortably. I know I can just get a cover for it. It actually gives it handles, but no, I don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to bring up actually the funny thing about this announcement was obviously how they showed it off, because Nintendo, I mean, you compare like the video they showed off when it was a new machine. Like obviously it was like people going out and about with consoles. It was like, oh my God, you could play a full console game on the go and stuff. This one was much more, it reminds me of what Sony and Microsoft do. It's more like the tech of like, ooh, look at the sexiness of the machine and the fact that the video itself has the Switch evolving into the Switch 2.
It obviously is like 20 to 30% bigger. Which obviously bigger is better for a lot of people, but you know, a lot. But
for me, it just felt like it's trying to. I almost felt like the video was trying to appease like people who've always like complained about, oh, it's not as powerful as the other machine, or if it had more memory, had more tech, blah blah blah. Whether this was like to appease them, I don't think it was, because Nintendo plays by its own rules. But
no, even then, like compared to a PC, you are stuck with what technology it is in the box.
Yes.
And for Nintendo Switch, for the console itself is the screen. And it still blows my mind that is what it is. But the Switch 2 looking bigger, everything doesn't really change anything. It's still the Switch, which a lot of people seem to have a problem with, and I don't know why.
I mean, the thing is, you have to, I mean, first of all, it's a hugely successful machine for Nintendo. I mean, given that the Wii U was not a success in comparison, and this, I always felt like the Switch is kind of what people thought the Wii U should have been. It was like, oh, this is a portable console on the go, right? It's like, give us a moment, guys. So that's what we ended up. And now it's kind of, all right, how do we follow it up? And, you know, the only thing we had for a while was like, what's it called? The OLED, you know, the slightly more...
The OLED, which is basically just like a pro version or such.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, what people have been asking from a lot of gamers has been ideally a one that's more powerful, has more memory, and that seems to be what they're doing with this one. This is like the full-on, okay, here it is, guys, now.
Yeah, and people have a problem. It's like saying the Switch 2 name is stupid. It's like, please, you have 5 PlayStation consoles, each with a number.
I mean, Nintendo have never done numbered.
No, they have made sequel consoles.
Yeah, but they've never had a number on it.
The Wii to Wii U, the Game Boy library up to Game Boy Advance, the DS to the 3DS,
Nintendo, Super Nintendo, you know, but they've never done the numbered, really.
Yeah, never a numbered entry. It's either been Super or just so and so plus. So if I Switch 2, it's like, oh, it's like, okay, granted, the logo is fucking stupid. It's just the Switch logo number 2 next to it. It's like,
I mean, that's a very blunt. It's a very like, yep, that's what you're getting, kids.
So. Yeah, and a lot of people write as like it's just no difference on the original Switch. It's like obviously it's gonna be more powerful. It's a new console. And it's like it's just a more powerful Switch. The PS5 is a more powerful PS4.
I mean,
I have a Series X. I have an Xbox Series X. The UI and everything in turn, aside from like a more powerful graphics cards and processors, it's exactly the same as an Xbox One, just slightly more powerful. The UI is exactly the same.
I was going to bring this up actually because the other week I was at my sister's place and they happened to have a PS5, and you know, obviously it's the first time I tried it out, you know, with the controller and stuff. And I will say, like, the big thing obviously was like the loading is incredibly quick. You know, I was replaying like Uncharted 4 on that and Doom Eternal, and the loading alone was like, wow, this is super quick. I was able to watch
I played Bayonetta on the Xbox.
Yeah.
2 seconds loading screens. I'm not sitting there doing all the combos over again. I never got a chance to practice combos on Bayonetta. It was like loading, right gameplay. Right,
I mean, that's alone. I'd be curious because the other thing about the Switch, the thing in the video saying that it's apparently will be compatible with Switch games to a point. Like they did put an asterisk saying some games may not be all compatible. So
yeah, and I know exactly which games because a lot of people pointed it out as well, and I agree with them. I think it was Doobus Goobus or Lonely Goomba pointed it out. It's going to be the games that require the IR sensor on the right Joy-Con. That little black sensor at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That game's like 1-2 Switch used.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we don't see that on the Joy-Con on the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. So I'm guessing those games are not compatible. Like if that's still like maybe 12 games in the entire library of Switch games that utilize that sensor.
Yeah.
If that's the case, fine. It's not like other games where you could easily emulate this. You can easily play this on this new console, but you choose not to. Like the Xbox.
I was just going to say, I mean,
you can play Generations, Unleashed, All Stars Racing Transformed, All Stars Racing, and apparently you can also play Free Riders, even though you won't allow me to use the fucking Kinect on it. But you won't play Sonic 06.
Well, that's a whole thing in itself. But yeah,
I know, and morally it's questionable, but it should play all 360 games.
Yeah,
but they don't.
Yeah, but either way, so yeah, it says so. Apparently, it will play a lot of games. I mean, assuming because it also shows like you can still use effectively an SD card for it. That was basically the other thing about the machine. So presumably that's going to be the same. We don't know anything. In fact, as of recording, the key thing is one thing that's popped out is Nintendo have already announced they're going to do what they call the Nintendo 2 Experience. So certain places in the world, like London, they're going to have an event where you can try it out from April the 11th to 13th in Excel in London. There's other places around. So yeah, people will get their hands on these machines to see what Nintendo have been up to.
I remember going to Game and doing the Wii Experience.
Oh, that's going back a few years. Oh boy.
Yeah, 2006.
I know. Wow.
That was pretty good. But yeah, also people bring up about the Joy-Cons. Original Joy-Cons, they slide onto the console. They slide and clip in.
This is the other thing, because people have been pointing out, because in the video you can see like the little housing or like the little clip into the machine, and a lot of people were already thinking, is that going to be something that breaks very easily? Because I remember when the Switch was initially announced, I think you and I said, how many broken screens do you think people are going to have on like the first few weeks of that coming out? So
yeah, people had a lot of problems with the sliding the Joy-Cons out. It's not that hard. You hold down the button and you pull it out.
No, I also want
to. If you actually saw the leak screens as well, first of all, it goes in flush and it snaps in with magnets. Yes. There's also a little connector in the center. People say that's going to snap. I don't think it's like a connector like a USB-C. I think it's a it falls in flush and touches the connectors inside the Joy-Con, like with the Wii U charging gamepad.
Yeah. I was going to bring up, because weirdly enough, Game Explain of all things did a video where someone did a mock-up of that thing with the fact that it's magnet, so it would just snap in, and also pointed out thinking, hey, remember how Super Nintendo's work? It's basically the same thing. Once it's in, it's in. It's not like you're going to snap that.
Also, more than likely, there's going to be a lock on the back of the controller.
That's what they showed up in the mock-up. They had a mock-up showing like you have to press 2 buttons in order for it to, like, if you were to literally have the screen fall out of your grip, basically.
Yeah, so obviously it's like you're not just snapping it in and hold the thing and like you hold the controller, hold the Switch 2 by the Joy-Con, it's going to fall out. No, it's not going to do that. It's going to be locked in. It'll tell you to lock it in or something. I mean, it'll probably have a sensor like a goddamn car, because the car beeps at you all the time to get your goddamn seatbelt in.
I mean, there's a lot you can say about Nintendo. I'm pretty sure the first thing they would have done was like thinking, okay, how robust are we going to make this thing, for both parents and kids? Because obviously we know that's going to be a big target audience for this machine.
Yeah, they stress test these things. I remember the report of the DS coming out. People thought, oh, it's going to break instantly. Okay, granted, some did break, but they dropped this stress test by dropping it by about 3 feet off the floor, like a meter, up to 1.5 meters, and that was the average size of a child. It survived. We have a Game Boy survive an explosion, which apparently has been retired. I think.
Oh Lord, where is this story been? I must have heard that at some point. I've forgotten.
You haven't heard about the Game Boy that survived an explosion?
Probably not. Again, well,
you should look it up. It's hilarious.
I'll find out myself. But
it's amazing and hilarious. So they can stress test this console for everyone's concern. Yeah, there's going to be those who will try and break it intentionally to see how far the stress goes. In which case, what the fuck are you doing in your life to waste?
I mean, again, there's always going to be some people, even if they're not trying to break it, they'll find a way of breaking it. That's the fear when you make the stuff. But
I don't get why people actually buy stuff then break it in protest. It's like, you just give them your money. So what the fuck are you doing?
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, basically, well, the joke's on you because they've got the money off you. So what was the point?
Yeah. It's like when Bud Light put on a picture of a trans icon, and a lot of people bought Bud Light and destroyed several cases of Bud Light. It's like, first of all, you're wasting product, and second of all, you're giving your money.
I mean, to be fair, you've just done a transaction. So basically, your protest means nothing to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you could have took a picture of yourself, given the product a middle finger, and walked away.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure like the key thing with this was like Nintendo clearly. My thing with this is obviously that they would have looked at, all right, what are things can be improved about the Switch? What are things do we need to robust and make better and stuff? And presumably that's it. Like there's even now like a little, it's effectively got like a little stand on you can have at the back, which is, I'm guessing that was never on the original machine, was it?
There is a kickstand on the Switch. There was technically 3 versions of the Switch, not counting Switch Lite. That's just the handheld only console.
Yeah, that is just literally.
There's the first release Switch, and that had a little kickstand, which is one little leg, and it's pathetic.
Well, there you go. That's the key thing they've obviously thought. Right, if we're going to have a stand.
The second version of the Switch had this kickstand go right across the entire back, and you flip it out.
Right.
And the OLED did the same thing. This one, same thing, but it's more hollow, and it's only going around the edges rather than just like 1/3 up the back.
Yeah.
And in fact, it goes all the way down to like a 30-degree angle. That's pretty good because you have some people who have it on the table next to them.
That's true, yeah.
Have it on a certain angle is more beneficial to the user than it is to just have it up, an 80-degree, like a 70-degree angle, and just like that's all you're getting.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with any stand is always like how convenient it is for me and what position I'm in. That's always the
I have a stand on my laptop and it has several divots for how high I want the damn thing to level up for me.
Yeah. But yeah, so from what we've seen so far, it's like obviously the key thing is just robust everything about the machine, either internally or what's on the thing. So that's all we know so far. But the other thing, of course, is we got some gameplay footage of what looks like finally Mario Kart 9, which surprises me.
I guarantee you they'll call it Mario Kart 10 or Mario Kart X.
All right, I was going to say because technically, how many number of entries have we got, all spin-offs over the years?
9.
Okay.
10 if you count DX.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, given the fact that they've
Super 64 double, Super Circuit, DS, Wii, 7.
Yeah. 8
DX and Tour.
Yeah.
No, it's not counting the free arcade Mario Karts.
Yes, yeah, I'm not counting those. But
because they're developed by Namco.
Yeah. But like I said, the fact that they've put so much into like 8 alone, like so many updates, so many, content, as we now use the term now. It's like it's surprising they've actually looks like, oh, you're actually making a full new game now. Wow.
Well, considering the fact that Mario Kart 8 DX came out on launch day, I think. And it took until another 7 years later for it to get, you know what? Here's some DLC, which is like an entirely new game. You get a complete new set of 16 new courses to play through.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like they really went full hog of like, we're going to literally make it almost like a new game by the time.
And I think about 4 new characters to play as, like Diddy Kong and Pauline.
Yeah. But
so seeing a new Mario Kart game, which a lot of people will go in, it could be a number of parts. Like, no, all the characters look newly designed. The karts are different. Donkey Kong looks more movie-like than it does Rare-like.
Yeah, I've heard about this. This was going on the web out there. Was a lot of people kept saying he looks very movie-like DK, and then people kind of said, actually, if you look at the Nintendo's early drawings, it's more what they probably would originally envision him to look like. So it's like
someone actually made a rotoscoped video of Rare DK getting transformed or devolved from the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a bit of that.
That was so creative. It's like, yeah, I can see they actually did that.
In canon, that is the canon reason why he looks different.
DK is DK, and it seems to be more in line with the design they went with Super Mario Wonder than it is Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, but again, it's funny because, like I said, it's if you think about it, like if you think about how Donkey Kong's looked for the years, like effectively they've been using the country look since when did that game out? 94. So effectively, you've had that look since 94. So it's literally been over 20 years they've been using that look.
Is it? Yeah, 994. I'll double check it myself. It's like,
yeah, no,
95.
We're in 25, so it's actually 20 years and 21 this year. So yeah.
So it's actually like 30 years.
Oh boy, God.
Game 30 years old. No wonder releasing Returns HD this year.
God, we're getting old, folks. We are getting old.
But the overall game is completely brand new because that track, like Yoshi's Diner, that's new.
Yeah, it did give me a lot of vibes from Crash 3, though. It reminded me of the biking tracks you get in Crash 3, so that's my first reference point.
I remember those levels being really fun, and now it's like a really pain in the ass.
I mean, I still have fun on the PS1 versions. The PS4, the Insane version, mixed, really, would be.
Well, only if you're playing Crash 1 and the vehicle stages in 2 and 3.
But yeah, like I said, we're getting a new Mario Kart, although here's something kind of funny is a lot of people saying is like, oh, that kind of screws out Sonic Cross Worlds, and because it's like, oh, great, you know.
Because God forbid you actually have some competition, right? you know, as soon as a Mario Kart comes out, it's like, no, give up, people. No, they're gonna win the awards. It's fine. It's like you still bought Sonic Superstars when Mario Wonder came out on the same goddamn day. You still went to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3 when Mufasa came out on the same goddamn day. So don't give it a shit. I'll say, Sonic Cross Worlds, Racing Cross Worlds is now cooked because Mario Kart's coming out on the same goddamn system. Here's the thing that you seem to forget instantly is that Cross Worlds is multi-platform and Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart X is going to be Nintendo only.
I mean,
did you forget that? Yeah, granted, Mario Kart X is probably going to be the better of the two racing games, depending on whether or not
that's
Cross Worlds.
Question. Yeah, I mean, probably people are going to vote for more Mario side, but like I said, for what we know of Crossroads,
we know F all about Cross Worlds.
We don't know. I mean, to be fair,
Shadow has a car, and it's going to be somewhat Cross Worlds, and that's the gimmick.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's the only gimmick, it's like, oh hey, you're in Green Hill. Oh hey, you're in future Green Hill and never been destroyed.
Yeah.
If that's the gimmick, it's going to be pretty lacking compared to what we saw with Transform, and Transform is still the peak of all 4 racing.
I know, but that's the thing I'm secretly hoping that with this one is like A, they bring back the transformation setup from that game, and B, if it's Cross Worlds, I hope it's not just Sonic stuff, it's like Sega as well. So it's like if that's your excuse to say, okay, here's effectively the 2 halves.
Yeah, do what you did with the Worlds Unite comic. You know, minus the Freedom Fighters and Capcom characters.
Yeah.
Like, so there's Alex Kidd.
That's my hope. That is my hope.
There's Virtual Fighter. Just do that. Just do what Sega All Stars Racing did.
Hope for that game is, basically this is their excuse to say, okay, let's bring not just other Sonic characters, but also the other Sega branded stuff, because at least that would be a fun gimmick for this racing game again.
It seems to be. Right now, there seems to be only Sonic characters, like with Team Sonic Racing. And Team Sonic Racing, again, is not a terrible racing game, but it is so weak if you're not playing with other people.
That's the thing, I really wanted to play with you back in the day when it was, I really wish we had that chance.
If you have the Nintendo Switch version, I'll be glad.
Well, put it this way, I mean, if the Switch 2 can play it still, then yeah, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, it'll still play it.
Yeah, so there you go. So maybe that would be the key thing if I do get a Switch.
And going back saying, do we have to buy another console again to play games we could already play? It's like, kind of. If it's going to be backwards compatible with Switch, with Switch, then you don't need to buy a console straight out of the gate. You can wait a year. Like many consoles, there's going to be a lot of issues with the console. Like the PS4 when that first came out, there was the blue light of death that would not stop.
The 360, the red ring of death. I mean, there's always been hiccups with these machines when they first come out.
That was a manufacturing fault, right? Not.
I know, but there's always a problem when these things come out initially. It's like you give it a year or two. There's like, okay, wait for all the quirks to be fixed. Then you think about, okay, I'll get it now because it's working and there's actually games I want to play. That's how.
That's one of the reasons why I got a Series X, because there are games I wanted to play, but it's only available on Series X. It was getting to that point where you needed a new console. With the Switch and Switch 2, there's going to be to a point where, yes, there's going to be games coming out. Like Mario Kart X is going to be a Switch 2 only game.
Yeah.
So you need a Switch 2. Whereas other games like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, that's going to be for Nintendo Switch, but also Switch 2 enhanced.
Yeah, I mean, remember when they did Zelda, obviously, Breath of the Wild, it was technically the last game on the Wii U, and of course it was the big thing for the Switch, so it's probably going to go in that similar route anyway.
I wouldn't mind going actually seeing the full version of Breath of the Wild on Wii U to see what was cut out. Because there was a lot of stuff in that game where it required the Wii U gamepad.
It did, yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously the big thing is it's coming out in the States, coming out this year as well, so it's probably going to be a big hit during the holidays.
Yeah, it'll be like the PS5 all over again, where you can't freaking get it.
Well, hopefully
the scalpers help us. Oh, I got 5 of them. I bought mine for $400, which seems to be the leak right now. The price has been leaked saying $400 or at least 350 quid, and it's like that seems reasonable because the original Switch is still $300. And it's still cheaper than a PS5.
Yeah. I mean, the difference being is that probably manufacturing these, Nintendo actually have everyone ready to actually put the stuff together. With Sony, I mean, it seemed to be they took bits and pieces from other, basically factories, and that's why there was a big shortage, because they, particularly during the year when nothing could happen, lots of factories suffered to get all the parts made. So that was the reason.
Yeah. Luckily, I got my Xbox Series X, which was practically brand new for $200.
Oh, wow.
It was just the console and the controller. That was it.
Okay.
So if you see more Switch 2 stuff, we're going to get it later in April 2nd. There's going to be more information when you see the actual console in action, and possibly some exclusives and enhanced games for the console later.
Yeah. And I immediately assumed the rumor mill of, all right, what's the next Mario, Zelda, or whatever big Nintendo thing that's been left in ruins is going to make a comeback for that. We'll see that ramp up very quickly.
I just don't want another Breath of the Wild inspired Zelda. It's like, don't make a sequel. You want to use the format, fine, but don't make a sequel.
I think that
Tears of the Kingdom is lesser than Breath of the Wild. I'm going to say that out loud.
Well, you and Yahtzee have kind of already said that out loud, so.
Yeah, of course, it's an expansion pack, but the companies call it Ka-ching. Speaking of Ka-ching, we got the official confirmation and logo. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is now in production. Yes, and we're going to see it in March 2027.
March 17, 2027. So basically the filmmakers have got 2 and a bit years to get it done. So they really should be probably heading straight into it now, if they're not already.
Yeah, the logo is like the other logos. Just down the 4 is now pink.
Yes.
Because we can talk about spoilers now because the film has been released digitally on like Amazon Prime and Peacock and whatnot.
Yeah, and people are uploading clips on the YouTube officially anyway, or unofficially. Yeah. So anyway, we'll spoiler crazy this now.
Okay, so at the end of the movie, end of the credits and the beautiful animated sequence during Jelly Roll's Run It.
Yeah, by the way, quick thing here is that there is a video out there of the guy who actually made that sequence. He actually has a video of like how he got the job doing it, and particularly some of the things he was able to get away with it. Particularly, he points out, technically, he is the one to officially do Classic Shadow, because that seems to be a thing. A lot of people have always asked from Sega, and they don't want to do it, and he's managed to get away with it being in the credits of movie 3. So yeah, I'll put the link in probably when we're done with this. So yeah, check out his stuff.
Yeah. And it showcases Metal Sonic, an army of Metal Sonics, and Amy with a really impressive hammer. And her design looks perfect. I'm questioning about the multiple tufts of hair for the little bangs she has, but you know what? It works.
It works, yeah. It is funny because Dave Bat Mechanic, who is a regular Sonic fan who often reports bits and pieces, he did tweet out saying that there are a few people yelling in the metallics when it happened. There is no evidence that one of those people was me. So
because there is no other explanation in the entire history of Sonic the Hedgehog. Every time in the games, it's been multiple Sonics. It's been different versions of Metal Sonic. Even in Sonic Adventure, when you saw like 2 different Metal Sonics, regular Metal Sonic and Mecha Sonic Mark II, apparently. Yeah. Apparently, they're called Mecha Sonic Mark 1, Mecha Sonic Mark 2, Mecha Sonic Mark 3, and Metal Sonic. No. Silver Sonic, Robo Sonic, Mecha Sonic. I don't give 2 fucks what the official term is.
if we're going by the now trying to actually put any of this stuff together in an official format canon business, it seems to be that, which it just makes me laugh at thinking, so you built the perfect robot duplicate of Sonic for CD, and then you decide to charge your not Death Star with a slightly shittier version of it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so that's already is like you fix one problem, but you raise the problem.
That goes to show how badass Naruto Oshima's design for Metal Sonic was better than any other Metal Sonic.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough act to follow.
There are 4 iterations of Metal Sonic. There's the classic version, the modern version, the boom version, and now the movie version. Mm-hmm. They're all identical.
I know it's weird that's the one thing that hasn't changed that often. Out of all the redesigns, he seems to be the one that stays consistent in whatever media he's in.
Yeah, the boom version is slightly taller, and this one he has an arm cannon.
Yeah,
but it is, and considering there's multiple copies of him in the movie. Yeah, that's the Metallics. That's the Brotherhood of Metallics. I want the Brotherhood of Metallics to arrive. And considering it's how he arrived, very Terminator, and guess what Terminator's involved with? Time travel. Sonic and Amy in the movie with Sonic CD. What does Sonic CD have? Time travel.
So I want to bring this up. First of all, when I saw that sequence in the cinema, I mean, I went in with the expectation because the rumors were going around. It's either going to be Amy, Metal, or Silver. I did hear a few people saying that out, and I was thinking it's going to be one or the other. It can't be both or whatever. So I was surprised that Metal's here. Oh boy, there's an army of them, and like, oh shit, Amy's all here in one go. Like, wow, didn't expect it to be all in one go. I did not expect that.
Yeah, and not to mention, it is going to be time travel because we also were given a lot of concept art post-release as well.
Yes, this is the thing. So recently, at least through an account that does Sonic movie stuff, is pointing out that there was a bunch of concept art for movie 3. Some stuff that made it in, some stuff didn't make it in. And it does hint, because like I said, the thing I was curious about at the end of this film is, like, as you said, the way Metal Sonic reappears is very Terminator, as in a ball of energy with lightning. But I did wonder, like, it's either time travel or maybe Amy could be from off-world that's come here, because my initial thought was, if you're doing the CD thing, you do the whole thing, okay, somebody's built a robot duplicate of Sonic and is trying to terminate him out of existence. Or the other setup was maybe somewhere in the universe, someone's found out about Sonic and his friends' business on Earth, and they're thinking, oh, this could be a danger. So they send a bunch of robot duplicates to Earth to stop him, and thus Amy's followed him suit, which, that's a possibility, because I did hear an interview with one of the writers even pointed out saying, there is a possibility we could go off world next time, there are other places and zones. So, it's not out of the running to, like, we could go to.
Yeah, an artist I follow said that Sonic 4 may be the last movie we'll actually see Tom and Maddie. Which, granted, in this movie, they had the least amount of screen time compared to Eggman and the other characters. Yeah. Because because you look at that, Hollywood, people like it when you actually watch the titular character people grew up with.
Well, here's the thing, because apparently when movie 1 was a hit, apparently when they were doing movie 2, apparently executives said to the writers, could you do more of it without the other guys? They actually said, could you write more of it with just the animated characters? So I was like, okay.
Yeah, unlike Transformers, where you had to have Sam Witwicky in there.
But that's
the majority of the movie.
That's
or the other one, which was a lot more egregious, Godzilla.
But
a 2-hour and 15-minute movie, and guess how long Godzilla's in it for? 5 minutes.
To be fair, like the later follow-on movies in the Monsterverse, I'm still surprised that's the thing, is like, they had brought him more in the picture, so I guess that's a blessing.
Yeah, God forbid people want to see the titular character the movie is named after.
Yeah, but again, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, so the whole time travel concept was shown in the concept art. And one of them, first, I'll do the second one first, and I'll do the first one second.
Okay.
Is Amy helping Sonic take down what seems to be another giant egg mech, which I initially thought was Metal Sonic Kai.
Yeah.
That giant red Metal Sonic from.
Yeah, if you actually look at it, because if you look at it, it's clearly the drones from a movie Robotnik's thing. So it's got the head of the drone, and also from the artwork, it seems that she is sporting her adventure outfit. Because in the credit scenes, we don't know what she's wearing. She's got the big hood.
Apparently, besides the head, the gloves, and the hammer, the rest of the body was more based on Knuckles. Because one of the models showcased was Knuckles' shoes.
Okay, right.
So. Yeah, that's a weird little thing. They actually
Yeah.
Same. It's like with Shadow and End of Sonic 2.
Well,
it was Supersonic's model.
Yeah, this is the thing, because I do wonder, like, given what we see of her at the end of movie 3, I do wonder, like, are they going to change her up again? Because this seems to be a trait with all the films. Like, even the introduce a character, they changed it up. Like, Tails looks different from the end of movie 1 to movie 2. As he says, Shadow, that's just the Supersonic model, but just recolored. And obviously movie 3 is different. So I'd be surprised if Amy gets, I don't know, a radical changeover, but possibly maybe just the body and stuff. I'd be surprised if she gets another different look before we get to 4.
Yeah, but the first image we see, I'm looking on Sonic Stadium,
okay,
is Eggman wearing a Asian regal outfit, like an emperor.
He's going full emperor here. He's going full China emperor mode here. That's basically what he's doing.
Which seems like Robotropolis in the background. There's drones on top of people and Metal Sonic looking menacing.
Yeah, there's Metal Sonic. I've also noticed in the background there's a bunch of statues of him blowing trumpets. One is an angel, one is a naked angel. So of course he would have that.
Yeah, I think what the cherubs is his head on a cherub.
Yeah, because of course he would, because he's an egomaniac. Of course he would just have statues of himself, because that's what all egomaniacs do. They want to know how amazing they are. They put their face in everything.
So this, obviously, there was a deleted scene as well showcasing how Eggman survived the destruction of the egg robot.
Mm. We should mention this. Yeah, there's some deleted scenes which we do get an actual sequence of what happened to him at the end of 2, which, yes, Agent Stone went to the mech, brought him back, and nursed him back to health in a hugely comedic cast. So, so that's basically how he survived.
Yeah. So I'm guessing at the end of movie 3, when the core of the Eclipse cannon exploded, the Chaos he got in. It wasn't just an explosion; it was chaos control.
Probably, yeah.
And sent him through time.
Could be, because we can also say this, because if you stick to the end of the credits of movie 3, it hints that Mr. Moody is still alive and well. So, we're probably going to see him again.
So I'm going to do it. I'm going to call it right now. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is going to be focused on time travel. There's going to be a Metallics mass-produced. I'm not too sure. I'm hoping for an Emperor, but I doubt it.
Again, we could dream.
Eggman survived due to time and space chaos control, like in Sonic 06. I am calling it right now and set it in stone, because I have not been, completely wrong when it comes to certain games getting released, as well as my theories, because I called out half of my theory with Sonic X Shadow Generations. I told you, there'll be mutation. Shadow's going to be mutated and turned into the new Black Doom. Yeah. I was like, that's exactly what happened in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's his plan.
Also the fact that you have not, considering the fact they announced, like, the use of the power of chaos control was given to Gerald by Black Doom. I was like, that just proves he's more of an ancient. I mean, granted, it doesn't say he's related to the ancients, but it doesn't say he's not.
I mean, to be fair, he's basically the devil alien. He's basically a devil alien. Let's be fair, Black Doom. So God knows where he gets his.
There's also the theory that he's probably a race of aliens who actually had the Chaos Emeralds before the ancients did.
Yeah, maybe. But basically, he's got some weird DNA thing. That's why Shadow is the way he is. It's a part of the thing. So yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so.
Well, actually, speaking of which, because in movie 3, it's interesting because we never get an explanation, but the fact Shadow comes to Earth in a meteor, you could use that as the excuse to say maybe they were trying to send Shadow to planet Earth as a reconnaissance thing to maybe start an invasion, and then presumably the Bismarck Maria stop that from happening. So
it's that's that's my other thing as well. If they're gonna be, because they're gonna do a second season of Knuckles, or at least another spin-off.
There's talks of another spin-off, yeah.
And it's Idris Elba and Keanu Reeves who want to do a Knuckles and Shadow one.
They're the ones who are asking for it, which if you do it, I'll actually see you two in it, guys. I don't want Wade to be the fucking star again, but that.
Because here's the thing. Yeah. Even though they wanted Chaotix to be included in Knuckles, it could be either way. Knuckles Chaotix, or what I would like to hear, Shadow and Knuckles. It has to be and Knuckles. That's the rule.
So we got to have the
that is the law.
Yeah, we're gonna have. It's got the and Knuckles has got to be there because of the memes, because this is one thing these Sonic movies have done. They've tried to figure out, all right, what are the jokes people make of Sonic? We're gonna find a way of putting it in here somehow. We're gonna find ways.
And here's the thing: if it's gonna be a Shadow and Knuckles one, and it's gonna be focused on Shadow, I suggest you do an abridged version of the story of Shadow the Hedgehog, not the Black Arms, and the reason why he got sent into a meteorite towards Earth.
Yeah. But like I said, it was up there because I do remember when they announced movie 3, there was talks of like, we're going to take cues from obviously his solo games. I was curious of like, well, you want to take the gun, the bike, and some visual cues obviously there, but I was curious like, you're going to do the devil alien business, so it's still up there, still up there.
Yeah. So that's my suggestion. Shadow and Knuckles, and it's based on the Black Arm storyline.
So who knows?
Very abridged, a bit more comedic, but still.
Yeah. I am curious because, like I said, these concepts. So another thing that popped up from movie 3, because there was a leaked animatic, I think, of the climax, and there were some changes there. Because I think supposedly when Robotnik is trying to contain the energy, there is some like flashes of history popping in. So there was supposed to be time travel involved in that. Because again, these concepts were early on, so they were just figuring out where you want to go, what is the mood and stuff. And there's other things that never made it into the film. For instance, there's a sequence where Knuckles and Tails are riding on a scooter, running away from a massive ball of of cars, buildings, and stuff in London.
So essentially, that being that giant boulder from Sonic Generations.
Yes, that's a lot of people putting out. Yeah, so clearly this was a set piece. They thought like, oh, this could be fun, and then they thought maybe too expensive, so maybe they dropped it.
Too expensive. Like, I know you want to include something from Escape from the City, but that's a bit much.
Yeah, and another one that has the three of them, very Sonicguru style, with Tails holding Sonic and Knuckles with a Polyscorpion on his head, running from like a giant sinkhole. Like it looks like, if I can say the right word, it looks like the location in Uncharted 2 where the city's on the thing. It's like there's a huge sinkhole and some disaster's happening.
Someone said like Windy Valley.
Well, there you go. Again, if it's a reference, but again, it's clear this was a set piece idea they were thinking of. They thought, okay, no, probably too expensive. In fact, the two other things I want to point out is that there's one image of Robotnik and Gerald seemingly invading the gun headquarters, like in full view. And, I do wonder, was this originally what they were planning instead of the dance sequence? Maybe they were just going to go in, steal something, and just cause absolute havoc, because it seems Robotnik's got like an energy shield on to stop them from getting shot. So there's that. And there's another one, and by the way, these are real because I know some of these, Jeff Fowler put this up on his Twitter account. There's one of Shadow Maria on the moon overlooking planet Earth, which, again, maybe this was like a fantasy sequence, maybe a dream sequence he had, which if they did it before, it would have been called back when Sonic and Shadow were on the moon. So, again, these were just like ideas they would have been playing around with just to see where we're going tonally, visually, what can we afford. So, again, oftentimes you see this stuff, people often say, oh, we're robbed of a movie, we're robbed of this movie. It's like, well, not really. They were just getting ideas on the board and see what stuck.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
there's like concept art for the reflective suit. It looked like it's going to be completely covered in silver hexagons.
Right. Yeah, I noticed there's another concept art of like Robotnik, obviously, in his clearly I'm so done phase. In fact, I think there's an image of like the Crabbot at a gas station. I guess
apparently the concept was going to be they'll be in Mexico.
Yeah, and
that would have been like too expensive to do.
Yeah, well, I guess also it's a case of, well, we have to go all the way here to meet Robotnik rather than why does he come to Tokyo when his drones just attack them. It made a bit more sense. But I do like this image because it shows Robotnik lazing about with the taco on the drone. There's also an image of Knuckles holding shopping, which I'm guessing it just gave it to him probably. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, there's one interesting one. It shows Robotnik tied up with Sonic and Gerald and Shadow standing proclaiming something. Yeah,
so maybe again there was one point where maybe Gerald was going to backstab Robotnik really early on. Maybe he was going to betray him super early in the film and they were just going to do their own evil schemes all the way through. Which again, they were kind of advertising that in some of the initial trailers, like Robotnik is just doing this because he's got nothing else to do with his life, so he might as well try and do something good. So the fact that they went with the whole thing of, okay, he finds out he has a family relative and obviously, try to has all the experience you expect, which I remember seeing in the trailers, like the stuff with him, like the Santa Claus bit, which I hope this is a dream sequence and stuff. This can't be real. This cannot be real. And it's all VR, thankfully, because I thought, oh, this is way too wacky for this to actually have happened.
I still like how it shows Eggman Land in the exact same logo and style as Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah. So clearly it's very much the case of it's the dream of not only do I have a family figure, but I totally have an empire around the world as well. So it's beating two dreams in one. No, I am curious to see where they go with this. Because like I said, this image, particularly with the Amy stuff, is like, it makes you wonder, like, is this kind of spoiler? Because again, they could be going in this direction. Maybe they're not. Because again, it could be time travel, could be off-world stuff. But the fact that they went with all right, we're going to do Metal Sonic, we're going to have an army of them, and we're going to put Amy in there. It's like, again, I thought one or the other. They weren't going to do both, but the fact is they're doing it. It's like, okay, you guys really aren't stopping. You've still got stuff to work with. Because I generally didn't know if movie 3 would be the end. I thought it would be, this would be it. And at least they ended it with Robotnik dying, which I kind of hope they keep that more. Like, he could come back. I mean, Jim Carrey said, like, he's retiring, he's power napping. So, and even they admit it's like, we don't know what Jim's going to do. We ask him if he wants to do more or not. So it's totally up in the air. But
consider it's the only franchise they've done sequels for.
Exactly.
Yeah, granted, Ace Ventura and Dumb and Dumber 2, but still.
Yeah. The fact he's done more than 2 sequels, that's something he's never done.
Yeah.
And also, presumably, he has said, like, he likes working with the team. Like, most of the people working on these movies are pretty much there since day one. Like, Jeff's been working on these since, 2017? More or less? So he's been doing it for a long time, this guy.
Yeah.
Because, again, we don't even know if he's coming back for movie 4. Like, maybe he'll be a director or something. In fact, here's something. On his Twitter page, he had on the banner saying you're tamer of panthers and hedgehogs, because I think at one point he was announced to do a Pink Panther live action animated film for MGM and Amazon now, and that's gone. So has he dropped it to do more Sonic, maybe, or just something? Maybe the deal's broken down. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the fact that, as you probably all know, Sonic Movie 3's literally got $1 billion in the bank. So obviously people came to watch it in their droves, and clearly it's like, right, get into 4 as quick as possible, guys. So I'm the key thing as well, last thing, Jeff has pointed out, because people have said about like the after credit scene, he says, like, obviously when we do this, the idea is we're telling you we want to use these characters for the movie. We're not just putting them there to say, hey, look who's here, and then don't do anything next time with them. It's very much, no, we have an idea, we have a setup or a plot to make them work in, and then we're going to hopefully go full on with it next time. So like I said, for definitely he's going to have Amy's involvement. Here's something I'd be surprised with. Given that Sega seem to now have the whole tarot card thing, which is something I kind of keep forgetting, oh yeah, that's the thing they set up with her, like from the Chief CD, like she was into reading cards. I'd be surprised if they have a whole thing of maybe she found out about this whole thing because she read it in the cards, like, oh, some tragedy is going to happen. You've got to find this blue hedgehog on Earth or something. So, again, if that's her introduction into this movie, if that's like how she found out about this whole thing, it's like, okay, fine. That's a cool way of integrating that idea, like I said, for something that most people forget is like, was that even part of a character for a long time?
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait for another 2 years.
2 and a bit, and I just, like I said, hopefully, it all goes well. I mean, it just seemed weird that every movie there had to be a hiccup they have to deal with between movie 1's design, movie 2, COVID, and movie 3, writers and actors strikes. So God knows what movie 4 is going to have to go through. I hope it's a smooth sail. That's all I ask. I hope those guys get the film done as best they can.
Yeah. Finally, bringing up is a collaboration between Sonic the Hedgehog and DC Comics, of all things.
I know.
I would have thought they were going.
We're a bit late to this, but
so it's going to be a 5-part collaboration with Sonic and DC Comics, where a bunch of Sonic characters are going to get DC superhero powers.
Yeah.
And the original trailer was animated, and it showed Shadow as Batman.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, because this happened for Batman Day, which was celebrating 8 years of the character, and they just put this out online with no explanation, thinking, okay, that's cool.
I thought it was a fan base. It was like, okay, Bruce is going to be Catwoman, hooray. And then DC Comics said, come in soon. It's like, this is official.
Yeah.
Right, here's concept art.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is interesting.
So, Shadow the Hedgehog is Batman. Okay, grand. Crappy history, childhood backstory. Okay, done. Sonic is the Flash. It took you
obvious. Yeah.
It took you all night and a plate of biscuits to figure out that one, did it? Amy as Wonder Woman. I would pick something else, but you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Silver as Green Lantern. Perfect.
Yeah.
Tails as Cyborg. There was only one instance where he was half cybernetic, and that was in Sonic Lost World. So
he's a child genius, and he uses text, so it's like, I guess that's the excuse. Yeah.
Knuckles as Superman. That's where you lose me.
I mean, for me, this is the thing I've always thought, because I've seen people thinking, isn't Sonic like the Superman of their world anyway? Like, he is this amazing, all-powerful, brilliant person. So it's kind of interesting.
I've seen a lot of the Flash stuff. I've seen the TV show, like 4 seasons of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen all of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2-parter with the Superman animated show.
Mm.
The Flash is a cocky bastard.
Yeah. Egotistical.
Well, that was more Wally West and it was Barry Allen, but Barry gets pretty cocky as well with his speed. So it makes sense for Sonic to be the speedster.
Yeah.
But Knuckles' Superman makes 0 sense.
I don't know. I mean, like, he's very strong, and I don't know, truth, justice, in the American way. I mean, does that really line up with last of his own kind and guarding a giant gem?
That's the only thing you have. The last Krypton,
You're the last of your own race.
That's all you have. He can fly, can't he? No, he can glide.
I mean, he can glide. I mean, it's near flying.
You seen Superman climbing walls? No. He can jump buildings, but he can't climb walls.
I mean, he could leap buildings. I mean, people forget Superman originally used to leap over buildings. He didn't fly until, I think, later on.
The cartoon.
Yes, the animated series.
The cartoon animated him flying, then said, it's just easier to do it then to see him leaping over buildings every single time.
Yeah, every so often.
So that just said, okay, we'll add it to the comics.
Yeah, and it became canon. It became the trait of him since then.
Yeah, like how Sonic likes chili dogs. That wasn't canon until Sonic Unleashed.
Exactly. I mean, officially. But yeah, so you said this is going to be part of because again, we got this during the Sonic Central thing, so this is part of as you said, 5-issue thing. Ian Flynn's behind this because, of course, he has to be, because he knows his stuff. But it's kind of weird. I mean, I want to bring this up because what I find fascinating about this is that this has come out right as we're getting now, like, this new set of, like, DC rebrand, because obviously James Gunn's now in charge of, like, because the key thing is, if you heard, James Gunn's doing the Superman movie that's coming up, and apparently a bunch of other projects he's behind. I mean, he's basically the head figure for DC's media stuff going forwards. And the fact that this has come out right as this has happened is like, if they did this when they were still trying to drag the now dead DC EU business, it's like, there is no way they would have gone away with this back then. It just would have been a no whatsoever.
Look at this is coming through James Gunn's DC, so there's that.
Yeah.
The summary right now is the monstrous Darkseid crosses dimensions to invade the world of Sonic, seeking the ultimate power. Sonic and his friends have faced everything from mad scientists to ancient spirits, but the forces of Apocalypse may be too much. Thankfully, the full heroic might of the Justice League rise to back them up. And we won't get issue 1 until March of this year.
So it's a bit of a wait.
It's the usual dimensional story, and Darkseid is the big bad.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Darkseid is near like a godlike figure, and let's be fair, Sonic's faced godlike figures many, many times, so, you know, there's nothing too new for them.
Yeah, like literal Gaia.
Literal Gaia, a sentient moon, you know, in Frontiers. So.
And the God of Destruction, even though it was just the late named God of Destruction. Genies, aliens. And a lot of people say, well, how many of those were canon? It's like, they happened, doesn't matter.
I mean, they happened, doesn't matter when and where. It's like they happened in some form, doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's fought a literal god before.
Yeah, he's done it before. It's just the fact
Sonic
that this one
won.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Darkseid's always been used as the big bad of the DC world anyway. You know, he's meant to be the one that even Superman has struggled to.
Yeah, Darkseid is like a new god, and Trigon was the old god. Like, a lot of my experience is the animated stuff. I only know a lot of this because of Teen Titans and the New 52 stretch of the DC movies.
I mean, hell, my knowledge of most of the DC back catalog characters was Batman Brave and the Bold, which was basically, what if you just made Batman the straight man in a Silver Age TV show, basically, and that's what it was, and it was brilliant because of it.
That was a fantastic show.
It was. I honestly say that is second to Batman TAS, really. Honestly, I think it's just second to that show. I
don't know. Justice League Unlimited is pretty good.
I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, most of the other, I guess we call the Bruce Timm. There's like there's so many like sub-series in the DC continuum out there. It's crazy. I guess the Bruce Timm universe of animated stuff is pretty good for the most part. So yeah, I mean, it just depends what floats your boat.
So this is just a weird concept overall. Like, okay, granted, Justice League has teamed up with a lot of characters over the years. I think there was a Star Trek crossover once.
Yes.
I'm not too sure whether or not a Doctor Who crossover even existed. I'm still thinking.
I know that they crossed over with Star Trek. They've done that as comics at one point, so that has happened.
I was going to say Turtles for a second. No, yeah,
Turtles. There was a comic of it, and they made a direct-to-DVD film of that of Batman versus the Ninja Turtles, and then faces off Shredder with a bunch of mutant versions of Joker, Harley Quinn as animals. So that was a thing.
So see, crossing over with Sonic doesn't seem that much of a stretch. It's just out of all the franchises, why Sonic?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, Sonic is quite in the minute. We're kind of in this high in the minute because obviously success of the movies and the recent games is like we are arguably in a really good position with this character in terms of just popularity. So I guess it's now just, hey, you want to do this? This is pretty profitable for us. Well, as I said, given that DC seems to be redoing itself, from the shit fit they've had the last few years, it's probably just like, well, why not? Why not go this direction?
So we can just go on and on about the absurdity of the crossover between Sonic and Shadow. But it's like Sonic and DC, sorry. But again, it's just like with Mega Man it made sense somehow, and this doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'd be curious. I mean, obviously the gimmick is going to be like when this crossover happens, it's going to be, is Darkseid going to invade Green Hill? The characters face off, and then they say, "Hey, who are these other guys? What's going on?" You have the whole, "Who are you? What you do? All their business," and we're gonna stop this big bad. And at some point, they're probably all going to dress up like these characters because I'm curious when that's going to pop out. Like, when are they actually going to adorn their DC counterpart personas at some point?
Yeah.
And also the question, as you said, is like obviously when this was announced, immediately people, I can't remember who it was, but I remember seeing images of like all the other characters of like what personas they'd be. Like I think I saw one of Cream and Vanilla as other characters, like who could they be? And like Tangle and Wisp and Surge and what's the other one? The other friend she has?
Kit.
Yeah. So again, already people immediately try to figure out, okay, who could they be? What other DC characters could it be? Major ones, side characters, all that stuff. So I'd be surprised if they don't get shown off in this run, however long it is again.
Five
issue run. So again, I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm curious. I mean, how put it this way: if we get more animated content, because like I said, they did the one for Batman Day. So if they do like animated tie-in stuff, maybe just for trailers or something, that'd be cool. That'd be fun. I mean, hell, they might do that thing with the Sonic, the Tales tube. Like they do those things to sort of tie into stuff. Maybe they'll do one where it's like, oh yeah, remember that time we were DC characters, and they're gonna go, yeah, I was the Flash. That was kind of cool. I was the Mr. Moody guy. Yeah, of course you are. Stuff.
Yeah. All right, but I was wait and see until March. I think that was it.
Yeah, that's it.